I'm expecting this build to come out like few PCs can. It is water-cooled, ATX in the prestigious large tower, the Phanteks NV7, complemented with a stack of black components, and contrasted against red coolant. I'm also going to analyze the CPU choice in this video. With the release of Intel's new i9-14900K, it is worth having the discussion whether this chip can upset the dominant 7800X 3D as the better choice for a high-end gaming rig in 2024. The red terror of a CPU, the 7800X 3D is haunting any new CPU release. This chip is certainly not perfect, but for gaming it is nearly flawless. It has arguably class-leading gaming performance and extremely good power efficiency. But where does this chip fall short? The Core i9 is a much more powerful productivity CPU. So if you're getting into some core-heavy work as well as gaming, then the Intel processor is a better choice. But from the perspective of a gamer seeking high-end performance, the 7800X 3D is a much better fit in our opinion. In terms of selecting between these two chips, it comes down to your usage requirements. So for this rig, we wanted it to double as a PC that can handle core-heavy workloads. So the obvious choice here is the Intel i9-14900K, and we can eliminate any downsides like throttling from elevated temperatures from this custom water loop. Now that I've explained the CPU reasoning for this PC, I can finish off the installation process for the motherboard. We have just locked in the storage for this PC, the 4TB Lexar NM790, so we can move on to installing the RAM. I've gone with 96GB of G.Skill Trident Z5 RGB. Now it is time to switch across to installing our custom water loop system, starting with the center of the loop, the CPU water block. I have selected the AlphaCool Core 1 for this role. This block is one of the best centerpieces for a custom water loop, with leading in-class thermal performance and quite tasteful styling, thanks to its full metal top and housing. Add that to the RGB strip that circles this block, it forms a dramatic yet subtle focal point for this build. But before I install this block, I'll cinch down a contact frame. This little metal square is actually an impressive low-cost solution for temperature reduction. In some circumstances, it can drop temps as much as 12 degrees. Due to the elongated shape of the LGA 1700 CPUs and how they got secured in the socket, these CPUs have been known to get bent or warped, causing high temperatures due to uneven contact with the cooler or water block in this circumstance. With the board nearing completion, we can unbox the case for this water-cooled rig. I have selected the Phanteks NV7, which I honestly think is a super underrated case, especially for water cooling rigs. We see many water-cooled builds in the Lian Li O11 or more recently the Hytewire 60, but this ATX tower really makes this red water-cooled PC properly imposing. With the motherboard now installed, I can now prepare the basis of this custom water loop, the distro plate. For this PC, I will be back mounting this 360mm AlphaCool core. This clear plate will give this gamer a great look at the coolant filling this loop and run perfectly silently at the back of this build. But let's talk about cooling. These are some of the thickest radiators I have built with, the AlphaCool Nexos UT60s. I will be mounting one at the top and one angled at the bottom, which thank God we have this monster tower, or we would have no hope of fitting such massive radiators. The fans for this build are Phanteks' version of Lian Li Uni fans, the D30, so they have the same bridge connectors, enabling multiple D30 fans to be seamlessly interconnected for a unified, visually striking unit, ensuring this PC is a clean build. Now I can prepare to water cool the graphics card for this rig. I am unboxing the Asus TUF RTX 4090. But it doesn't really matter that it's an Asus TUF card because I really only need the PCB unit that is inside. Before I fill this rig with coolant, I will obviously need to complete our loop by inserting the straight line clear piping and screwing on the black fittings. The benefits for clear piping is numerous, especially for the colored coolant that is in this loop. First of all, it amplifies the RGB that will permeate from this build, as it reflects and lights through the piping. But it also lets the user see the active flowing effect of the coolant throughout this loop. The coolant that I've selected for this build is transparent red. Colored coolants can have a tendency to clog loops, which requires draining and maintenance. However, because this coolant is still semi-transparent, it negates some of these issues, and thus has a longer lifespan, requiring far less maintenance than a fully colored coolant. So this rig will still have the aesthetic benefits of the colored coolant, without some of the negatives. With the loop filled, I can now show you this monster water-cooled PC up and running.